Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And in today's video, we will be reviewing all of the extensive class changes that are coming in for 12.0.5 because I feel like there's a lot of propaganda and mystery about what exactly is or isn't happening with a class or a spec because they announced changes months ago about this patch, and some of those have been updated since then. So we're on the official Blizzard website with the most recent up-to-date patch notes so that we can get the most accurate idea of what's going on. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So let's get started with Death Knights here. On Frost side of things, we've got Chosen of the Frost Brood rank 3, which I assume is your Apex talent. When Frostworm's Fury is recalled, it now grants the full haste bonus at 50% duration instead. The ability used to recall Frostworm's Fury is no longer on the global cooldown, so you're able to launch the dragon out and back faster. You'll get more haste, but it doesn't last as long, so it's honestly more bursty, more feast and famine. I'm not sure if that's what Frosty can really need, at least in PvP, but it's going to make you have really fast globals in that window of time as far as your ramp. For Deathbringer, Echoing Fury secondary effect has been redesigned. Casting Reaper's Mark grants you 1 stack of Exterminate with 100% First Scythe and 100% Second Scythe effectiveness. So Reaper's Mark, you're going to get just guaranteed Exterminates, and you're just going to be getting... That seems better, no? Exterminate has been updated. After Reaper's Mark explodes, your next 2 Obliterates or Frost Scythes cost 1 rune and summon 2 Scythes to strike the enemies. The rest of the effect remains the same. That sounds more bursty. Honestly, I mean, that just sounds more bursty. Frosty K is just getting more bursty. For Unholy DKs, new talent, Cycle of Death. Putrefy reduces the cooldown of Death and Decay by 1 second. Death and Decay reduces the cooldown of Putrefy by 0.3 seconds for each enemy it damages up to 3 seconds. That's a lot of cooldown reduction synergy on multi-target situations. I do wonder how that's going to be usable in PvP. In Mythic Plus, that sounds really fun. In PvP, maybe there's a lot of pet classes. You might be able to do some weird Death and Decay shenanigans here and get a lot of Putrefies off. Raise Abomination is being updated. The Disease Cloud will no longer cause enemies to take increased damage from minions. Now deals plague damage periodically to nearby enemies. So just, again, more AoE damage focused. I like that they're taking modifiers that amplify your damage on a single target and kind of diffusing them. I'm hoping they do that with more classes. Honestly, though, for Unholy DK and PvP, that's going to feel like a massive nerf because your kill window is the Abomination, and it's because of the damage amplification of the minions. So you may want to switch to Gargoyle. Putrid Echoes has an additional effect. Putrefy now consumes up to 2 available charges on cast. So with this cooldown reduction oriented around here, you might be able to get some bursty Putrefies off. They're also lowering Lesser Ghoul damage. So Lesser Ghoul damage is going down as well as the minion synergy. Seems like they're really targeting minion build and nerfing it. Scourge Strike now applies Virulent Plague in addition to spreading it. So just a little bit less global cooldown maintenance, which is nice. Pestilence renamed to Blightfall and now overrides Dark Transformation instead of Outbreak. Overrides Dark Transformation. Okay. Necrotic Coil's Shadow Strike now... or damage now prefers the primary target, and some talents have changed locations in the tree. So they've removed Blightfall, they've removed March of Madness, they removed Scythe of Decay. Dude, DKs just get so many updates every patch, it seems like. For Riders of the Apocalypse, Unholy Armaments has an additional effect. Your Ghoul and Skeletal Archers deal 10%, and Lesser Ghouls deal 20% increased damage. Okay, so they nerfed your Lesser Ghouls baseline to try and rebalance the hero talent trees by giving you the damage back on Riders of the Apocalypse. So you're not going to feel that loss if you're a rider of Apocalypse Unholy DK. A Feast of Souls has been updated. While you have 2 or more horsemen aiding you, your Death Coil deals 20% more damage, and Epidemic deals 20% more damage. Now, the only problem with this is the likelihood that you have 4 horsemen or 2 horsemen up is during your cooldowns. So again, it's just more damage in your cooldowns. I mean, you might be able to RNG 2 of them, but I think it's really unlikely. So it feels like they're making progress on one front, making the Abomination not have the modifiers, but then they're just shifting it into the horsemen instead. And I guess it's on your Death Coil now instead of on your minions. So again, maybe you'll feel better actually if Death Coil is doing more of your burst damage, but you're still going to be very cooldown oriented. For Sand Lane, Frenzied Bloodthirst has been updated. Essence of the Blood Queen increases the damage of your Death Coil and Death Strike by 3%, and Epidemic by 3% per stack. So that's interesting. Just like a sustained buff over here. Throw of the Blood has an additional effect. Dread Plague will deal 5%. Deals 5%, and Virulent Plague deals 5% increased damage. Desecrate's been updated. Death and Decay deals this damage 100% faster. So that synergy with the cooldown reduction on Putrefy, I'm very curious to see how that plays out with Sand Lane. That's a lot of sustained damage. It's a lot of cooldown reduction around Putrefy. The only problem is that all of this modifiers is not on Putrefy damage. So like this is nice because you get more Putrefies, but this portion is not affecting Putrefy. So I wonder if that's going to have any sort of conflicts or not with the synergy of the build. But this right here, there might be some cheeky stuff you can do with Unholy DK. I think you end up in pretty much the same spot if you're playing Riders as far as your burst window. And then maybe there's some weird Death and Decay thing you can do with Sand Lane now. For Demon Hunter, Demon Hunters can now further customize their appearance, so you can get Void Blue Eyes. For Devourer, this is the big one. Devourer is getting, I think, a massive update here. So Soul Immolation is now going to heal you, but it looks like for only 6% of your maximum health. I think in the initial iteration, this is why I say the propaganda, the mystery, and the misinformation and all that type of stuff, because I think it used to be like 20+%, which is going to be really overpowered. 6% is not nearly anything nearly as strong. And it's only over its duration, which is a long duration, so it's not that much healing. Its cooldown will be reset upon killing an enemy, though, that yields experience or honor. Again, in PvP, that doesn't happen too much, but you know, in solo content, you're going to have more self-healing. And Soul Immolation's being updated, no longer deals damage. Wait a minute, what is this? This is the 24%. Wait, it's going to heal for 30% of your max health over here? So it's even stronger. I was wrong. I read that. I was like, oh, they decided to nerf it. But no, the other change is right down here. It's going to be 24% plus the 6%. Okay, I need to level my Demon Hunter. Sweet Suffering has been updated. I find this a bit concerning because we went into this expansion trying to strip self-healing away from DPS because it was deemed, you know, problematic in PvE because healers don't have to heal, and then in PvP it's caused the game to go in deep dampening, and then we're adding those mechanics back. So I'm a bit worried that like the lessons that were learned and that were, you know, iterated on are now being reversed possibly. Like we'll have to see. Maybe they add a PP modifier on it. I don't know, but even in PvE, I feel like this still isn't going to stop you from instantly getting one shot also in PvE when you aggro because you need to get your collapsing star off and you want to keep your souls. So I'm a bit worried about that. Obviously, solo content, that's nice. Sweet Suffering has been updated and now increases the duration of Feast of Souls by 1 second or 2 seconds. Previously, it was 2 or 4, so it's going to last a little bit less. Eradicate now deals separate damage to its primary target and its area damage target. Feast of Souls is no longer capped at 20 stacks, and removing Grim Focus via a macro or right-clicking the aura will prevent it from being reapplied for 10 seconds. So people were doing some sort of aura cancellation cheese. I think mostly just the self-healing is really significant here, and possibly the stacks. For Void Scarred, Burning Blades are being updated. It now affects Hungering Slash. Previously it was Reap, and now additionally increases Reap damage by 20%. That sounds like you're getting a lot of sustained damage out of that. What? And also you're going to get 15% more Void Ray damage and 15% more Collapsing Star damage. Void Transformation is updated. Now additionally causes the hunt to deal 25% increased damage and reset the cooldown of Soul Immolation, so you have infinite healing. This is a god class. This is going to be a god class. Student of Suffering increases your mastery, though, now only by 4%, down from 8, and will grant you less fury. So your baseline ability to get stronger, but scaling on mastery is coming down. Maybe that evens out. Blind Focus increases cosmic damage only by 2%, down from 3. For Vengeance, so that's it for Devourer. I need to level 1. Even though the level one's a little bit painful, I need to do it. Vengeance, Feast of Souls now heals instantly upon Soul Cleave, was heal over 6 seconds. Vengeance was really squishy and dying really fast, so just giving you more instant healing as a tank. Untethered Rage Trigger effect now lasts 12 seconds up from 10, and Fracture baseline cooldown is also being reduced, so you'll be able to fracture more and get more shards, more souls. Annihilator, Celestial Echoes now causes Fracture to generate 3 additional fury and deal 25% increased damage. Previously it was 5 and 30, so trying to nerf Annihilator a little bit. I don't think this is huge buffs for Vengeance, you know, relative to Brewmaster, at least in Mythic Plus. For Boomkins, Meteorites are being updated. Every time Starfall drops a wave of stars, a meteorite also falls up to 2 targets in its range, dealing astral damage. However, the projectile damage is being reduced by 30%. I don't know what that ends up being, net result, positive or negative, but, Boomkin hasn't been too insane in Mythic Plus, and this is going to be kind of irrelevant for PvP. For Feral Druid, Unseen Predator rank 1 now has an additional effect. Unseen attack damage is reduced if less than 5 combo points and 50 energy are spent on Ferocious Bite. So they kind of want you to pull energy a little bit more. For rank 2, it's being updated. Unseen attacks increases your damage done by 8 to 15% for 1 second per combo point spent to trigger it. Additional applications extend this effect. What? You're going to get a 15% damage buff when you Ferocious Bite with more than 50 energy? That sounds insane. Unseen Predator rank 3 has been updated. Tiger's Fury causes you to perform an unseen attack for maximum damage after your next 2 combo point generating attacks. And you get it guaranteed during Tiger's Fury. And they buffed Rip and Unseen attack damage by 30%. And they buffed the Unseen slap. Feral's godly, bro. This is why it's good to do this. It's good why we're reviewing this. We're going through all this because that's really good. That's really good. All right, I'm going to have to make a tier list prediction here too because my God. Guardian Druid, Wild Guardian rank 2 now grants 1 to 2 charges of Dream Guide or Dream of the Cenarius. I don't remember this. I have been playing Guardian Mythic Plus. I don't remember this. And then for rank 3, now empowers Maul, causing it to deal 40% more damage over time. Galactic Guardian interaction with Red Moon's being updated. Its stacks of Lunar Wrath are now consumed upon spending 20 Rage. Regrowth cast by Dream Guide heal for an additional 100%. What? It really needed to heal more? I swear it had so much off healing. Okay. I don't know if these are buffs or significant nerfs to this because I kind of just like run through and tank stuff without really looking at the numbers there too much. So I'll see how this ends up feeling. I can't. Maybe they are nerfing Guardian a little bit on its Maul damage because the Maul damage is quite a bit with the Apex talents. For Restoration Druid, Everbloom rank 2 is being redesigned. When Life Bloom's final bloom occurs, it heals 6 allies within 40 yards for 25 to 50% of its healing. So Life Bloom is getting a little bit of an AoE bump. Probably not going to matter in PvP too much. People are never stacked up like that. Everbloom rank 3. Blooming Frenzy now triggers 3 times, though, down from 5. So it's going to heal more, but trigger less. And then they buffed all your spell-casted damage. So Wrath, 40%, Starfire, 40%, Star Surge. This is going to be really nice in PvP. And they're trying to get you out of cat form in Mythic Plus, I think, with this. For Evoker, new ability, Battle Visage. Activate to automatically assume your Visage whenever you're not casting Draconic forms. I'm glad they listened to this feedback, so you're not going to have to look like a dragon the whole time. You can choose. Yeah, but I think when you hover, you do. So, like, you use Deep Breath, you'll be a dragon. Dream Flight, Breath of Elons. Fire Breath, Eternity Surge, Dream Breath, Upheaval. Hover. Yeah, hover right there. So you're pretty much still going to be a dragon all the time because you're pretty much hovering all the time. I was hoping they'd let you be like Iron Man and just fly and shoot the hand laser like that. I feel like that would be so sick. I feel like more people would play Dracthyr because it would just look insane to be flying around like Iron Man like that with a laser coming out of your hand. Many abilities that used to force a shift to Dracthyr have adjusted visual treatments for Visage form. And while active, Battle Visage applies a camera height override to Dracthyr form to prevent the camera from adjusting rapidly when shifting. They're buffing Unravel damage. So, that could be big. This is something that's not talked about a lot, but like absorption effects, especially on like mages and warlocks, when they buff shield shattering effects like this, you got to keep an eye on that in PvP. And then in PvE, there's a couple dungeons like what is it, Caverns of something or other. There's a couple of shielded mobs, so you'll be able to unravel some of those shields, which is kind of nice there. Blessing of the Bronze is now castable on friendly players who are not in your party or raid group, similar to buffs like Arcane Intellect. So they want some classic WoW influence there, so you can just buff people up. Fix an issue where Twin Guardian was applying its bonus at the start of rescue rather than upon landing. For augmentation, you're getting a new talent, Mighty Inferno. Inferno's blessing damage is increased by 40%, and effects that extend Ebb and Might will also extend Inferno's blessing. Inferno's blessing will now correctly always apply to casting Evoker and will no longer apply to pets. So just quality of life improvements for that. Regenerative Chitin has a new icon. And Molten Embers has been completely removed. I think isn't that the shield one? I feel like it's a nerf in PvP. I think that's the shield one that goes up. If you're an augmentation Evoker main, let me know. Chrono Warden, new talent, Chronal Dynamo. Living Flame's cast time is being reduced by 0.2 seconds, and it deals 50% increased damage or healing when it's a non-instant cast. But energy cycles is being removed. Okay, so a little bit more Living Flame burst. Preservation, new talent, Temporal Barrier. Summon a vortex of temporal energy, absorbing 900% spell power and applying Echo at 30% effectiveness on your target and up to 4 allies. You're getting Group Life Cocoon? They're giving you Group Life Cocoon. Okay. What's the cooldown on that? Doesn't say. Temporal Anomaly now has an additional effect. Applies Echo at 30% effectiveness on the first 5 allies it passes through. And Fluttering Seedlings has been redesigned. So this is just able to get Echo up more efficiently on large groups. Fluttering Seedlings has been redesigned slightly. Emerald Blossom sends out 1 to 2 flying seedlings when it bursts, plus up to 2 to 4 additional seedlings when it heals. Fewer than 5 allies. Each seedling heals an ally up to 40 yards away. So just a smaller group buffs. They're trying to buff you in Mythic Plus without buffing you in Raid, I think is what this is. And they're buffing the seedlings by 67%. Seedlings is now considered a green spell, and its healing is increased by Ouroboros and giving it more synergy. Just trying to make the seedlings better. Life-Giving's Flame now also functions with Deep Breath, causing the first 5 targets hit to heal nearby allies for 80% of the damage done. That's going to allow you to do damage and stun without falling behind in Mythic Plus and in PvP. They are buffing all of your healing by 5%, but not in PvP. And they are lowering the mana cost on Verdant Embrace by 27%. Resonating Sphere has been completely removed. For Chrono Warden, Chronal Dynamo, they're giving you the same treatment with Og, with a faster cast time Living Flame and dealing more damage when it is non-instant cast. And they're also removing energy cycles. Marksmanship Hunter. Now, you guys got Giga Omega pruned before, so I think they're actually giving you back some stuff with this. They're giving you Explosive Shot back. So fire an Explosive Shot after 3 seconds, it explodes, dealing fire damage to all enemies in 8 yards, and it deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. So you're going to get a little bit more instant cast damage. Shrapnel Shot. Casting Explosive Shot has a 100% chance to give you Lock and Load and an instant aim shot. Marksman Hunter is going to be crazy. Put Marksman Hunter on. You guys make notes in the comments. I want you to make notes for me in the comments right now. Feral, Devourer, Marksman. These guys are going to be giga good. New talent, Precision Detonation. When aim shot damages a target affected by your explosive shot will also instantly explode and deal 20% increased damage. Put it on there twice. Precise Shots has been updated. No longer reduces the global cooldown and no longer provides bonuses to auto shot. Damage bonus reduced to 50% from 100 and now affects Kill Shot and Black Arrow. Put it Giga Omega God Mode on the list here. What? Oh my god, you don't care about auto attacks. Black Arrow 100% more. What? Wind Quiver has been redesigned. Consuming Precise Shots has a 30% chance to grant Precise Shots. The damage bonus of Precise Shots is increased by an additional 15%. I'm glad I have a Hunter. Unmatched Precision has been updated. Now increases Precise Shots by 10 to 20%, though, down from 20 to 40. Okay, so a little bit of a nerf here on that. Precise Shots not going to be too huge, but everything else has been pretty good here. Small Game Hunter has been updated. Now increases Explosive Shot by 15% and volley damage by 25%. They're also giving you 5 to 10% aim shot damage and 10 to 20% rapid fire damage. They're giving you 100% steady shot damage, 33% arcane shot damage, 33% multi-shot damage. They're removing bullet hell, though, in the rhythm, lethality, and target acquisition. For Sentinel, Can't Miss, Won't Miss is being updated. Now increases precise shot damage by 10% down from 40. So baseline abilities, Hero Talent Rebalance. Dark Ranger gets giga good after this. It was already good. It's getting way better. My god, bro. If you're a Marksman Hunter moving into the 3rd week of AWC, like, oh my god. Okay, Survival. What's going on here? Sikkim has been updated. It now triggers from Strike as 1 critical strikes. Previously, it was Kill Command. So just getting passive damage as opposed to active managed damage. Lunge has been updated. No longer grants Wildfire Bomb cooldown reduction. And now additionally will give you 2% agility, increased by an additional 2% while dual wielding. So dual wield buff. But it's not giving Wildfire Bomb cooldown. That sounds like a nerf. Shrapnel Bomb is being updated. It now additionally causes Wildfire Bomb to grant 15 focus over 3 seconds. Takedown now communicates that it removes roots from your pet. That's nice. I hate when my pet gets rooted. Pack Leader Hogstrider is being redesigned. Each time your boar deals damage, the damage of your next boomstick is increased by 5% up to 20. Again, we're just making burst damage crazy right now. And whoa, okay. Hoof and Blade has been redesigned. Now increases Hogstrider's damage bonus by 2%. Shrapnel Fangs is being updated. Now additionally increases the damage Wildfire Bomb deals to the primary target by 15%. Lethal Barbs now grants 1 focus down from 2. I feel like Survival is getting better. You're going to be more bursty, which in the current meta, that's what you want. So I feel like Survival is getting stronger there. For Arcane Mage, Arcane Pulse is getting increased cast time to 2.25, and its cast time is reduced by 8% depending on the charges. So it's probably at max charges, it's faster, but at lower charges, it's not. Fixed an issue where Arcane Missiles with Aether Attunement, Talented, or an overpowered missiles proc would target critters and pull them into combat, but not deal damage to them. Okay. Just a little quality of life there. Icicles is being updated. No longer generates rapidly out of combat. So you're not just going to just get glacials right away. Also, the glacial spike has a duration of 60 seconds. I wonder what the logic is behind that. 60 seconds is still a very long time. Frozen orb can be cast without a target. Thank you, bro. I went on my mage and was like, I have to target to shoot the orb? Like, the whole thing was the skill shot element of this. Why did we... I'm glad that's back. Fix an issue causing freezing rain's effect duration to not match the duration of frozen orb. So a little bit of quality of life there for mage. Brewmaster. Harmonic Surge is being redesigned on Master of Harmony. Casting Celestial Brew or Celestial Infusion will grant you 2 charges of potential energy. Your next cast of Tiger Palm or Vivify consumes all of these charges to cause a Harmonic Surge. Harmonic Surge, for each charge of potential energy, deals nature damage to your target and nearby enemies and heals up to 5 allies. Damage and healing increase per stack of potential energy consumed. Potential energy has been redesigned. Casting Keg Smash grants a charge of energy. Coalescence Tooltip has been updated for clarity, and it now applies its own distinct periodic and damage effect. That just sounds like you're getting buffed. Are we really just buffing the other talent? Does everybody play the Shadow Pan one? That just sounds like you're getting buffed. You're just getting some... I haven't played Brewmaster, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but it just sounds to me like you're getting buffed. Mistweaver's are getting a 5% healing nerf. Shaylin's Gift is getting a 5% nerf, down to 5% per cloud from 10%. Spirit Font now causes Enveloping Mist, though, to be instant cast. Way of the Serpent no longer causes Soothing Mist and Crackling Jade Lightning to cast while moving. This is now default behavior, so you don't need to take this talent. You can just get it all the time. Emperor's Elixir Tooltip has been adjusted to better reflect its effect. Conduit of the Celestials, Inner Compass now rotates its stances on an 8-second timer. And this is just the overall Mistweaver changes. Obviously, PvP changes too. Master of Harmony, they're doing the same thing with Harmonic Surge here that Brewmaster got. So just Master of Harmony is getting a little bit better, possibly. But I guess this is a little different. Casting Rising Sun Kick or Rushing Wind Kick will grant you the charge of energy. And they've updated the tooltips for them. For Windwalker Monk, Crashing Fist is being redesigned. So Fist is going to be doing 20% more damage and not last 1 second longer. That's a buff. 20% Fist damage, that's a buff in a smaller amount of time, because if you get stopped on it, you hate it. Tiger Eye Brew rank 1's being redesigned. Every 3 chi spent generates Tiger Eye Brew. Zenith consumes up to 20 Tiger Eye Brew stacks to increase your critical strike chance for its duration by 1% per stack. Generates quickly up to 10 while out of combat and may generate up to 30 stacks. So this is probably why Zenith just absolutely one-shots. Tiger Eye Brew rank 3 is being redesigned. Zenith now grants access to 2 additional Zenith Stomps. Zwen's Battle Gear may now additionally trigger from spinning Crane Kick, reducing the cooldown of Fists by 0.5 for each unique target struck, up to 2.5. You're getting cooldown reduction on Fist, more Fist damage. And Zenith Stomp is now going to generate 2 chi. Zenith, though, will no longer generate 2 chi on cast, but the Stomp will when you press it. This is it. It's just the same thing. It's just coming from a different source. It's Windwalker's on the list too, I think. It's getting better. Paladin, Blessing and Protection, and Spell Warding now show on raid frames when Center Big Defenses is enabled. Good. Holy Paladins are getting a bunch of healing buffs across all of their abilities in PvE, but seemingly not in PvP. I've actually really liked playing with Holy Paladins in my Mythic Plus. And obviously, I'm not doing the 19s and the 20s. I've been doing like 15s, but I actually don't mind. So this is nice. Maybe I can invite more Holy Paladins to my group. Herald of the Sun, Walker into the Light's been redesigned. Now increases the chance of it for Infusion of Light to occur by 100% during Avenging Wrath. Infusion 100%. Did Avenging Wrath need to really do more healing? You're just going to have instants the whole time. Okay, Holy Pally is up. Put that one on the comments. Up. Lightsmith, Holy Armaments now generates 3 holy power. Okay. There's a lot about that, and you'll get that for PvP also, it looks like. For Discipline Priest, they're nerfing your Atonement, but none of this applies in PvP. But then they're buffing absorption values on a lot of abilities, a lot of your healing spells by 25%. So they just want you to actually cast healing as opposed to do damage to heal in PvE. But in PvP, they're happy with you doing damage. So keep doing damage in PvP. For Holy Priest, all healing done increased by 8%, but not in PvP. That's smart to revert that, because Holy Priest is probably going to become the primary healer, I think, in PvP. New talent, Sanguine Vial for Rogue. When you deal the killing blow to a target that yields experience or honor, the cooldown of your Crimson Vial is reduced by 15 seconds, and your next use will heal you for 5% more. Again, this is much like Devourer. This is like solo content oriented, because I don't see that being useful in pretty much anything else. Airborne Irritant has been updated. Blind is a 50% reduced cooldown, 70% reduced duration, applies to all. It's back. AoE Blind is back. And there's a talent that makes people do less damage and healing. So we're going to get rotation blinds again. Rogues are going to run around just throwing blinds on people like it's Bark Skin, because it's a low cooldown and it reduces the damage that they deal. And they're not even going to use it as CC. We're going to have dampening rogues. A bit worried about that. But I think they did this for PvE reasons. And in PvE, wouldn't that be insane? You blind, everything does less damage to everybody. I swear that's a crazy. Isn't that a crazy mechanic? Unless the mobs are all immune to it. I swear that sounds so crazy in Mythic Plus. Assassination is getting a new talent, negotiable contract. If the target of your Deathmark dies, Deathmark will jump. I like that. I swear I recommended that on my stream at one point. It doesn't really help you in PvP though. I wish that in PvP, if your Deathmark was removed, like by an ice block or a blessing of protection, it like gave it back to you. So it's like they have to heal through it. Like if they want to remove it now in the moment, they can, but you get it back because your cooldown. It's such a bad cooldown because it's just so easy to counter that way. It's not, and it doesn't even feel that strong, even if it doesn't get countered. For Deathstalker marks being updated. Garrote applies 3 stacks of it, unless Deathstalker's mark is already active. You learn Mark for Death. When you spend 5 or more combo points on attacks against Mark's target, you will consume an application, dealing 120% plague damage. Mark for Death move your active Deathstalker's mark to your target, 10-yard range, 20-second cooldown, 25 energy, and not on the global cooldown. So you're going to get a new ability that lets you move this mark around. See, this is the same thing with Deathmark. Like, it's just not being able to move the things on the target is an issue in PvE and an issue in PvP. So they're trying to get around it with this. I think that it's probably going to be decent in Mythic Plus, so maybe not so much in PvP with those mechanics. Trickster, cloud cover is being updated. Adrenaline Rush will create a cloud of smoke for 10 seconds. Oh my god, people are going to just be freaking out thinking that people are smoke bombed when they pop their cooldowns. It allows attacks from within the cloud to apply phased, stacking up to 2 additional times. Effect persists for 10 seconds after leaving the cloud. Okay, and for Outlaw, Ace Up Your Sleeve is being updated. Between the Eyes has a 3 to 6% chance. Previously, it was 5% per combo point spent. To grant 4 combo points was 2 to 4 and reset its own cooldown. So Between the Eyes procs are going up. I really hope they had a visual where like animations on the middle of the screen show up, like Fingers of Frost procs with this for Between the Eyes, because they have it for Pistol Shot. And I don't know why they don't for Between the Eyes, because it's even more effective. They should add it for Jackpot too. When you get Jackpot, a bunch of gold coins show up on the sides of your character, and you know you rolled the bones good. You don't need to press it again. And it would just feel better and more dopamine and be easier to understand. For Deathstalker on Subtlety, they're updating it as well. Shadow Strike applies 3 stacks to the target, mark to the target, unless it's already active, which then you will learn Mark for Death. When you spend 5 or more combo points against the target, you'll do the same type of plague damage, and you'll be able to move it with a 20-second cooldown. And it's not on the global cooldown. This is making Rogue harder to play, honestly. Like this is like redirect. This is a pretty hard mechanic. For Trickster, you're getting the same thing. You're getting the cloud cover when you use Shadow Blades. So you're going to apply phase. So a lot of people are going to get tripped up thinking rogues are smoke bombing. I think when it's not, it's because it looks like a smoke bomb, but it's not functionally. Enhancement Shaman, Overflowing Maelstrom secondary effect has been updated. Each Maelstrom weapon stat consumed grants Overflowing Maelstrom, reducing the cast time and increasing the healing of your next healing surge or chain heal by 10%, so more off healing. Overflowing Maelstrom can accumulate up to 20 stacks, benefiting each cast by up to 10. You're going to get a lot of healing from that. The names of Raging Maelstrom and Overflowing Maelstrom talents have been swapped to better reflect these effects. Restoration got a 8% healing buff, and they didn't give it in PvP. I can't believe they didn't give you that in PvP. Restoration Shaman feels so awful. I actually cannot believe they didn't give you that. And considering the buffs that I just saw for Windwalker and Marksmanship Hunter, the damage that they're going to do is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So, but they gave you 30% more damage. You're not going to have time to press damage, but it would do 30% more if you did. For Warrior, Rend is getting a 2-yard increase on radius. Not a big deal. I guess in PvE it's nice, so you don't have to worry about mobs being too clumped. Wrecking Throw will now be highlighted when the warrior is targeting an active absorb shield. They're helping you out, guys. If you didn't know that it was a shield, they're going to let you know. Shattering Throw will now be highlighted also when there's an active immunity effect or a mage's Ice Wall. Ice Wall? Wait, you can Shattering Throw an Ice Wall? Does that mean to say Ice Block? I've never seen someone Shattering Throw an Ice Wall, but it makes sense you'd be able to do it, but I still don't know why you'd do it. But, okay. Maybe they're letting everyone know that you can with this update. I literally didn't know that, if you can. Or is this them not knowing you can't and they meant to type Ice Block? We'll see. I'm going to try Shattering Throw an Ice Wall now just to find out. Arms Warrior, Mortal Wounds now triggers from Mortal Strike and Slam. Previously it was Mortal Strike and Cleave. So you're not going to get bleeds on... You're not going to get mortal. You're not going to get the healing reduction on multiple targets. Crushing Combo removes the cooldown from your next 2 uses of Cleave. It was previously 3. Are they nerfing arms? You used to get 3 cleaves in a row. Now you're only getting 2. Practice Strikes for Colossus now increases Mortal Strike and Slam damage by 15% and Cleave and Whirlwind damage by 15%. That sounds like a buff. Demolish radius is also increasing to 10 yards. Dominance of the Colossus reduces the cooldown of Demolish by 5 seconds when you would gain a stack of Colossal Might and and are already at max stacks. So there's 2, so more cooldown reduction also on Demolish. That's a buff. For Slayer, Reap the Storm's being updated. When Cleave hits 3 or more targets, you have a 20% chance to unleash a flurry of steel, striking nearby enemies. So just more Cleave damage on Reap the Storms for Slayer. Unrelenting Onslaught now increases the damage dealt by Blade Storm by 20%. Blade Storm's kind of poopy, so I don't know how big that is. For Fury Warrior, Hack and Slash is being redesigned. Rampage has a 100% chance to refund a charge of Raging Blow. Improved Whirlwind now causes Whirlwind to apply Rend to all targets if Rend is known. So you're not going to Thunderclap anymore. Mountain Thane, Storm Surge now causes Avatar to increase the damage of Thunderclap by 10%. Previously it was 50. And reduced its cooldown by 25. Mountain Thane, Fury Warrior got mega nerfed. Slayer, Reap the Storm has been updated. Is Fury Warrior that good at Mythic Plus? Like, what? Reap the Storm has been updated. When Rampage hits 3 or more targets via improved Whirlwind, you have a 20% chance to unleash a flurry of steel, striking all nearby enemies. Unrelenting Onslaught now increases damage of Blade Storm. So you get the same buffs on Slayer's Arms did. For protection on Colossus, Practice Strikes now increases Shield Slam damage by 15% and Revenge and Thunderclap damage by 15%. That's a lot of just general throughput. Demolish got a 2-yard increase on range, and we got the cooldown reduction on Demolish as well. So trying to buff Colossus here against Mountain Thane for Prot. For Demonology, Fell Ravage is being updated, so it purges rather than interrupting. They're losing an interrupt, but they'll probably just switch to the Imp in PvP and maybe even in PvE to dispel magic effects, which is debatably maybe better in some instances, but you're not going to be as CC'd as much, which is nice. It's nice to listen to the feedback there. And Tauren Jailer's Soul Barrage has been updated, releases a volley of chaos magic that deals chaos damage to the target and up to 10 additional enemies. So just Jailer's doing AoE damage now. There's a nerf in PvP if it does less, which I assume it will since it's AoE. For Destruction, Conflagration of Chaos is being updated. Conflagration and Shadowburn have a 100% chance to guarantee your next cast of either ability to critically strike and increases damage by a critical strike chance. That sounds really good. That's a lot of instant damage synergy between those. But you have to get them in Shadowburn range. Conflagration and Chaos Icon has been updated. No, don't update the icons. Chaos Incarnate and Inferno have swapped positions. Okay, so the rich get richer on a lot of DPS specs. They're obviously adding a bunch of new Mythic Plus mounts, and they're nerfing a bunch of the raid engagements here. And then for PvP, we just see Mistweaver nerfs for right now. So Manatee 50% less effective, Life Cocoon 25% less effective, on top of the nerfs up above. And then Chrysalis cooldown reduction, so it's only 30-second cooldown reduction rather than 45. And then Zen Spheres can only be applied by Rising Sun Kick and Rushing Wind Kick. So you can't just crackle spam. So it's going to have a bit of a cooldown maybe, and you can also dispel it. You'll be able to dispel the Zen Sphere, which is applying like a lot of cooldown, stacking modifier damage there. So I think the nerfs on Mistweaver, these are good. I have serious concerns about some of the buffs to some of these specs, like Feral and Windwalker and Marksmanship Hunter right now. I do not see how their damage doesn't end up being absolutely redonkulous, and I'm going to take advantage of it if they don't nerf it. Now, maybe they do release more hotfixes today after seeing the tournament. It's possible. I'll update it with another video if they do, but that's the breakdown right now with the changes that are coming through here. I don't expect any major changes in Mythic Plus tank meta, which is something that I honestly thought that they were going to address more so, unless they're just okay with Brewmaster being 99% of the tanks. But they're also introducing the Void Forge for re-rolls, which I'm going to be, I would farm that. I'm ready to go to get some big loot on my Guardian Druid. But that's it for here with this breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed the update, and I will see you guys in the next one.